Evelyn had never believed in fate. Not until the first letter arrived. It wasn't signed. It didn't have a return address. Yet every word, every carefully chosen sentence, felt like it was written for her alone. She tucked it into her desk drawer, thinking it was just a harmless curiosity, until the second letter arrived. And the third. Across town, Lucas received identical letters, unsigned, mysterious, and impossibly intimate. Neither of them knew the other existed. Neither of them suspected they walked past each other every day, in the same building, under fluorescent lights and office chatter. But the letters, they spoke truths neither dared to admit out loud. Secrets, fears, desires, the kind that bind two strangers together without them ever meeting. By the time they finally exchanged their first words in person, the world had already set them on a collision course neither could escape. Every note, every warning, every fleeting confession was part of a story they didn't know they were living, and it was about to become dangerous. Because some letters aren't just messages, they're the beginning of a life you can't run from. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more thrilling stories. Every morning at precisely 8:15, a navy blue envelope appeared in the small wooden box tucked beneath the marble staircase of the old Harrington office tower. No one knew who had placed it there. No one, except two people who had never once crossed paths, at least not knowingly. Evelyn Hart, a soft-spoken graphic designer on the 12th floor, discovered the box by accident on a rainy Tuesday when she ducked under the stairs to tie her shoe. Inside the box was a letter, neat handwriting, steady strokes, and words that felt strangely warm. "I hope you find something today that makes your heart lighter," it read. No signature. No clue. Just that one line. She wrote back. She didn't know why. Something about the handwriting felt safe. "Thank you. I needed that more than you know." She slipped her reply into the box the next morning, unsure if the mystery writer would ever see it. He did. Lucas Bray, a junior architect on the 17th floor, found her note right after a long meeting that had left him questioning his career. Her gentle words renewed him. He responded immediately. And so began the exchange. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. The world outside the staircase shifted with deadlines, ringing phones, and the hum of printers, but under those marble steps, time softened. Their letters spoke of childhood dreams, fears they whispered to no one else, and tiny victories they couldn't wait to share. Evelyn wrote about the colors she saw in people, the moods she painted in her sketchbook. Lucas wrote about the buildings he admired, the way some structures felt like promises. They shared secrets. They shared fragments of themselves. Eventually, they shared hopes. "I sometimes wonder what your laugh sounds like," Lucas confessed in one letter. "I sometimes wonder if we've stood inches apart without knowing," Evelyn wrote back. Neither imagined they worked in the same building. Neither knew they passed each other in the lobby, on the elevator, at the coffee cart. But fate had grown impatient. One evening, a thunderstorm swallowed the city in sheets of silver rain. The power flickered, and employees were told to leave early. Evelyn rushed down the main staircase, slipping her last letter, one she had rewritten 5 times, into the wooden box. She paused, heart pounding. "I think I'm falling for you. Whoever you are." She hesitated, then added, "Maybe it's time we meet." Lightning cracked. The lights went out. And in that moment of darkness, she felt someone else's hand brush against the box. Someone standing so close she could feel the warmth of their breath. A man's silhouette. A soft gasp. Her heart slammed against her ribs. "Are you?" he began. The lights flickered once. Twice. Then surged back on, revealing. But before she could see his face, a voice shouted from above the stairs. "Everyone out of the building. Now." The lights died again. And the two of them, still inches apart, were swallowed by darkness. The emergency alarm wailed through the Harrington office tower, echoing off the marble walls like a warning from the building itself. Evelyn's pulse hammered as the darkness wrapped tighter around them. The man beside her, the one whose hand had brushed hers, the one who might be him, took a half-step closer. "Don't be scared," he said softly. His voice was warm, familiar in a way that tugged at her memory. "We should get out of here." But before she could answer, a crowd swept down the staircase above them, their footsteps thunderous, their panicked voices filling the space. The mysterious man reached for her hand, she felt his fingers graze hers, but a sudden jolt of people pressing between them tore them apart. "Wait!" she called, but her voice was swallowed by the chaos. Outside, rain slashed sideways, flattening Evelyn's hair against her cheeks. Office workers scattered in every direction, umbrellas flipping inside out, taxis splashing through puddles. She searched every face, behind glasses, under hoods, through the blur of rain, but the man from the staircase was nowhere. Her heart sank. She had been so close. Lucas, meanwhile, stood beneath the awning on the far side of the building, drenched and breathless. He clutched a letter, a navy blue envelope he had just retrieved before the blackout. Her letter, the one he'd waited for all day. He hadn't yet read it. His mind was spinning. He had been right there, inches from someone in the dark. Someone who had touched the same box at the same moment. Someone who smelled faintly of lavender and citrus. Someone whose breath caught just like he imagined hers would when she was nervous. Was that her? Was that the woman he'd been writing to for months? He ducked under a street lamp for better light, tore open the envelope, and unfolded the paper with trembling fingers. When he reached the last lines, "I think I'm falling for you. Maybe it's time we meet," his breath stopped. It had been her. He spun around, searching the rain-soaked crowds, scanning every face and silhouette. Nothing. Just shifting umbrellas and headlights streaking through the storm. He couldn't let it end like this. Lucas tucked the letter safely into his jacket and marched toward the revolving doors, only to find security guards blocking the entrance. "No one's allowed inside," one of them said. "Electrical fire in the basement. It might not be safe until tomorrow." Tomorrow. Tomorrow felt like a lifetime away. Evelyn didn't sleep that night. She sat at her tiny kitchen table, replaying every detail, the touch of his fingers, the warmth of his voice, the way he had almost said something before the building erupted in alarms. Was it him? Or just a stranger who happened to be near the box at the wrong moment? And more terrifying, had he read her confession yet? What if she had ruined everything? Her phone buzzed with a notification from the office. Building closed until further notice. She stared at the message, heart sinking. The box. Their letters. Their entire secret world, locked away behind emergency tape and smoke-filled hallways. Unless he found another way to reach her. Unless he was looking for her now, just as desperately as she was looking for him. Evelyn pulled out a fresh sheet of paper. If their next letter couldn't be delivered the usual way, she would simply have to take a chance. A bold one. She began writing. "If you are the one who touched the box with me today, meet me." But before she could finish the sentence, she froze. Because at that exact moment, a single knock sounded at her apartment door. So, hesitant. Familiar? Her breath caught. She rose slowly from her chair, letter still half-written, heart thundering in her chest. She crossed the room, placed her hand on the doorknob, and pulled the door open. But standing there was not the person she expected. Evelyn's breath hitched as the door swung open. Not him. Not the man from the staircase. Not the anonymous soul she'd poured her heart into. Instead, her older sister, Marianne, stood in the hallway, soaked from the rain, hair plastered to her cheeks, eyes wide with worry. "Evelyn," she gasped, stepping inside without waiting to be invited. "Thank goodness you're home." Evelyn blinked, still startled. "Marianne, what's wrong? Why are you—" But Marianne cut her off, wrapping her arms around her tightly. "There was a fire at your building. I saw it on the news. I tried calling you, but your phone went straight to voicemail." Evelyn's phone was still on silent from work. She swallowed. "I'm okay. Really. They evacuated us." Marianne finally stepped back, brushing wet strands away from her face. I needed to see you." Evelyn softened, guilt and affection mixing in her chest. "I'm fine. I promise." Marianne managed a shaky smile. "Good. Because there's something I need to talk to you about." But before she could continue, her eyes landed on the kitchen table, the scattered envelopes, the neatly folded letters tied with ribbon, the half-written note lying face up. She raised an eyebrow. Are those love letters? Heat surged into Evelyn's cheeks. Just something I've been writing. It's complicated. Marianne picked up the ribbon-tied stack gently, as if afraid they might fall apart. Evelyn, these are beautiful. Did you write all of these? No, Evelyn said quietly. They're from someone else. Marianne's expression shifted, something unreadable flickering in her eyes. Someone else? As in, someone you care about? Evelyn hesitated. Yes, I think so. Marianne set the letters down with unusual care. Then, we might have a problem. Evelyn's stomach tightened. What do you mean? But Marianne didn't answer. Not immediately. Instead, she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out something small. A folded envelope. Navy blue. Just like the ones Evelyn kept in the wooden box at the office. Evelyn's heart stalled. Where did you get that? Marianne looked at her with a conflicted, almost guilty expression. It was left in my mailbox today, she said quietly. Addressed to you. Evelyn took a step closer, pulse hammering. To me? But how would he know my address? That's what I'm trying to understand, Marianne said softly. Because, Evelyn, I read it. Evelyn sucked in a sharp breath. Marianne unfolded the envelope and held it out. You need to see this. Evelyn took it with trembling hands. Inside was a single sheet of paper, written in the same familiar, steady handwriting she'd grown to love. Only this time, the tone was different. Urgent. Breathless. Almost frantic. Evelyn, I think we were together during the blackout today. I think I was inches from you. But something happened after that, something I can't explain yet. Please don't go back to the building. Not tomorrow. Not until I find you first. There's something you need to know. Something I should have told you from the start. I'm sorry. Evelyn's knees weakened. Marianne steadied her. Evelyn, who is this man? And what does he mean by, something happened? Evelyn stared down at the letter, mind racing. Lucas knew her name. He had found her address. He had written a warning. And he had signed only his first initial, for the first time ever. Marianne's voice trembled. Evelyn, I think you're in the middle of something dangerous. But Evelyn shook her head slowly, gripping the letter tighter. No, she whispered. I think I'm in the middle of something important. She looked up, determination sparking in her eyes. And I'm going to find him. But just as she said it, just as resolve settled into her heart, there came another sound. A second knock at the door. So, steady. Intentional. Evelyn and Marianne froze. Evelyn turned slowly, heart thundering in her chest, and stepped toward the door once more. Her hand hovered over the handle. She pulled it open, and this time, the person on the other side made her gasp aloud. Evelyn's gasp echoed through the quiet apartment. Because standing in the hallway, dripping from the rain, chest heaving as if he'd run the entire city, was Lucas. She didn't know his name yet. She didn't know his floor number, his favorite lunch spot, or that he hummed when he concentrated. But she knew him. She knew the way his eyes softened when he was nervous. She knew the gentleness in his posture. She knew the shape of his handwriting, the weight of his words, the warmth of the heart behind them. And now, she knew his face. He was real. He was here. And he looked terrified. Evelyn, he breathed, as though saying her name confirmed something he wasn't sure he dared believe. She nodded, opening her mouth, but Marianne stepped between them so fast Evelyn barely had time to blink. And you are? Marianne demanded, arms crossed, gaze sharp enough to slice glass. Lucas swallowed. My name is Lucas Bray. I work at Harrington Tower. On the 17th floor. Marianne's eyes narrowed. And what exactly do you want with my sister? I need to talk to her. He looked at Evelyn then, and the world seemed to shrink to just the two of them. I should have talked to you a long time ago. Evelyn's throat tightened. Then talk. But Lucas hesitated, glancing at Marianne. Can we speak alone? No, Marianne snapped instantly. Evelyn touched her sister's arm. It's okay. It most certainly is not, Marianne muttered. But after a long glare at Lucas, she stepped back. Only a little. Just enough. Evelyn gestured Lucas inside. He walked in slowly, cautiously, like he wasn't sure he deserved to cross the threshold. When the door closed behind him, there was a long, trembling silence. Finally, Evelyn found her voice. "You wrote to me," she whispered. Lucas nodded. "Every day. You found my address." He winced. "I know. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that without asking. But after the blackout, after almost running into you in the dark, I panicked. I thought something was wrong. And I thought maybe we were closer to the truth than either of us realized." Evelyn's heart fluttered. "So it was you? In the staircase?" "Yes." Her breath caught. "Why didn't you say something? Why did you run off?" Lucas opened his mouth, then closed it. He ran a shaky hand through his rain-soaked hair. "That's the part one need to explain. The part one should have told you from the start." His voice cracked. Marianne watched him like a hawk, arms still folded, as if ready to throw him out the window if he said one wrong thing. Evelyn took a step closer. "Lucas, what happened?" He looked up at her with devastated eyes. "I didn't run away," he said. "I was pulled away." Evelyn's brow creased. "Pulled?" "There were two men waiting for me outside the building," Lucas said, voice trembling. "They worked for my father's company. They told me something had gone wrong with a deal he was negotiating. Something that might affect the entire building. Something they didn't want getting out." Evelyn blinked. "Your father's company? Lucas, what does that have to do with us?" Lucas took a painful breath. "My father," he whispered, "owns Harrington Tower." Evelyn froze. Marianne's eyes widened. "Wait, Bray Holdings? Your father is Richard Bray?" Lucas nodded once. "Yes." Evelyn felt the floor tilt beneath her. The building. The secrets. The sudden blackout. The warning in his letter telling her not to go back. It all snapped into place like a puzzle she hadn't realized she was putting together. "Evelyn," Lucas said softly, "I'm in the middle of something bigger than I knew. And now, you might be too." Evelyn stepped back, pulse racing. "What do you mean, might be?" Lucas opened his mouth, but suddenly, someone slammed against the apartment door from the outside. Twice. All three of them jumped. Marianne darted to Evelyn's side. "Who is that?" Lucas's face drained of color. "Evelyn," he whispered, terror gripping his voice, "I think they followed me." Another crash. The doorknob rattled violently. And then a voice, cold, stern, unfamiliar, called through the door. "Lucas Bray. Step away from the women. We need to talk." Evelyn's blood ran cold. Lucas grabbed her hand. "Don't open it," he breathed. "Please." Evelyn stared at the shaking door, heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Outside, footsteps. Shadows under the door. A second voice joining the first. Marianne whispered, "Evelyn, what do we do?" The door shook again. Lucas squeezed Evelyn's hand tighter. And Evelyn realized. Her anonymous love letters had led her straight into something dangerous. Something Lucas hadn't fully explained. Something that was now standing on the other side of her front door. And whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same. "To be continued," you said. "Continue," ChatGPT said. Continuation. They fell in love through anonymous letters. The pounding on the door grew louder, sharp, deliberate, and far too controlled to belong to anyone who meant well. Evelyn's breath caught as she backed toward the living room, Lucas still gripping her hand like it was the only solid thing left in his world. Marianne, ever the protective sister, snatched her phone from her pocket. "I'm calling the police." "No," Lucas hissed, grabbing her wrist before she could dial. "Please, don't. You don't understand." Marianne jerked her hand free, glaring. "Oh, I understand perfectly. You brought something dangerous to my sister's front door." Lucas's face twisted in anguish. "I didn't want to. I swear. But calling the police will make this worse." Evelyn's voice trembled. "Lucas, who's out there?" He swallowed hard. "My father's security team." Marianne scoffed. "Security? They're about to break down the door." "They're not regular security." Lucas's voice dropped to a whisper. "They handle the things my father doesn't want public. Things he should never have been involved in. Things he thinks I know. Evelyn's heartbeat spiked. Do you? No, Lucas said, shaking his head desperately. I only overheard fragments. Something about land acquisition, a deal going wrong, and how the blackout today wasn't an accident. Evelyn's skin prickled with cold. You think someone caused it? I think, Lucas said, stepping closer to her, that someone caused it to send a message to my father. And they believe I know more than I do. Another pounding slam rattled the door, this time strong enough to shake the picture frames on the hallway wall. Lucas Bray, the cold voice repeated, now edged with impatience. Open the door. Now. Evelyn flinched at the sound. Her apartment, her safe place, felt suddenly foreign, like the walls were closing in. Lucas turned to her, panic shining in his eyes. I just need time, he whispered. A chance to explain everything. To fix this. But they won't give me that unless I go with them. Marianne let out a sharp breath. You're not seriously considering opening that door. Lucas looked at the doorknob, then at Evelyn, and the war inside him was painfully visible. I won't drag you into this, he said quietly. I'm the one they want. Evelyn felt something in her chest twist. She had fallen for this man, through ink and paper, through words and vulnerability, long before she ever knew the shape of his face. And now, on the very night they finally stood in front of each other, someone was trying to tear them apart again. No, she whispered fiercely. You're not going with them. Evelyn, you warned me not to go back to the building, she said, stepping closer, voice shaking but determined. But you came to me. You risked everything to find me. I'm not letting you face this alone. Something flickered in Lucas's eyes. Hope, heartbreak, gratitude, fear. Marian stepped between them again, voice low. Hey, fine. Nobody's going with anyone until we figure out how to get out of here. Another crash. This time, the door itself groaned under the impact. Lucas's breath caught. We don't have much time. Marianne scanned the apartment. Back door? No latch, Evelyn whispered. Fire escape? Evelyn shook her head. Not on this floor. The doorknob jerked violently, once, twice, then twisted with force. Evelyn grabbed Lucas's hand. We have to hide. Lucas shook his head. If they find us hiding, they'll think we're running. It'll escalate. Well, we're not opening the door, Marianne snapped. A loud metallic crack echoed as the lock began to give way. And then, in the chaos, Evelyn's phone buzzed on the table. All three of them froze. Another message lit up the screen. A number she didn't recognize. Evelyn stepped toward it slowly, as if pulled by an invisible thread. She picked up the phone. Her throat tightened as she read the message aloud. Don't open the door. The men outside aren't working for Lucas's father. They're working for someone else. And they're not there to take him back. They're there to make sure he never talks. Evelyn's hand trembled violently. Lucas's face drained of color. Marianne whispered, Then who sent the message? Evelyn looked back down at her phone. Just then, another message appeared. If you want to survive tonight, take Lucas and leave the apartment. Now. Evelyn's breath hitched. Marianne's eyes flew to the rattling door. Lucas whispered, voice barely audible, Evelyn, we're not alone in this anymore. The doorknob snapped. The hinges groaned. And Evelyn realized. They had seconds. Maybe less. The final bolt on the door shrieked as it strained, metal grinding against metal. Evelyn's pulse hammered in her ears. We have to move, Marianne whispered. Lucas grabbed Evelyn's hand, tight, protective, terrified. There's only one way out. The window? Marianne asked. No, Lucas said. Too high. Too exposed. Another slam. The door frame splintered. Evelyn's phone buzzed again. Kitchen. Hurry. Evelyn's heart lurched. Kitchen. Whoever's texting, they want us to go to the kitchen. That's insane, Marianne hissed, but she was already pulling Evelyn toward it. There's no exit there. Lucas followed, tugging Evelyn close. Unless. He skidded into the kitchen, breath sharp. He crouched beside the cabinet under the sink and yanked it open, searching the back panel. Evelyn frowned. Lucas, What are you doing? You said this place was built in the 70s, Lucas said breathlessly. This entire building was renovated by my father's company. Which means... He knocked hard on the back wall of the cabinet. A hollow sound. Lucas's eyes sparked. Marianne blinked. No way. He hooked his fingers under the edge of the panel, and with a heave, ripped it free, revealing a dark, narrow space behind it. A hidden service crawl. Evelyn's breath caught. How did you know that was there? I didn't, Lucas admitted. But my father's buildings always have emergency maintenance ducts, just big enough for crews to move through. Only problem is... Behind them, the apartment door cracked, splintering down the middle. They're not meant for more than one person at a time, Lucas finished. Marianne's eyes widened. We don't exactly have options. The door shattered, exploding inward. Go! Lucas shouted. Marianne dove into the narrow crawl space first, twisting sideways to squeeze through. Evelyn followed, heart in her throat. Lucas ducked in last, pulling the panel half closed behind them just as heavy boots stormed into the apartment. The crawl space was pitch black, smelling of dust and metal. Evelyn's shoulder brushed Lucas's chest as they shuffled forward sideways, inch by inch. His breath was warm against her ear. Behind them, muffled voices filled the apartment. Search every room. They couldn't have gotten far. They have orders, no mistakes. Evelyn's skin prickled. Lucas leaned closer, whispering, Keep going. We're almost at the junction. It's too dark, Evelyn whispered back, trembling. I know. His fingers brushed hers. Hold on to me. I won't let go. Her heart swelled, terror and trust tangling together. Marianne hissed from ahead, Left turn. There's a drop, careful. Evelyn managed half a step, before her phone buzzed again in her pocket. Lucas stiffened. Silence it. Evelyn fumbled, terrified the noise had already given them away. She pulled it out, hands shaking, ready to mute it. But the new message on the screen made her freeze. It wasn't from the unknown number this time. It was from the shared letterbox app she and Lucas used at work, the digital version she'd never told him she signed into on her phone. A new message. From Lucas's account. Except Lucas was right next to her. And his phone was in his pocket. Evelyn read the message aloud in a whisper. Stop. Don't go further. It's a trap. Turn back. Lucas's breath hitched. That's not me. Marianne whispered sharply from ahead. Evelyn, what do you mean trap? Evelyn's voice shook. Someone's pretending to be Lucas. They're inside our letter system. Lucas's hand found hers in the darkness, tight, urgent. Evelyn, he whispered, fear thick in his voice, no one should be able to access that account except me. And my father. Marianne froze ahead of them. So either someone hacked him, or someone inside knows about you too. The crawl space suddenly felt colder. Tighter. More dangerous. Another message flashed onto Evelyn's screen. If you go any farther, you won't be able to come back. And then, seconds later, they're waiting for you at the other end. Evelyn's breath stilled. Marianne whispered, Evelyn, ask it something. Ask who they are. Evelyn's fingers trembled as she typed. Who is this? The response came instantly. Someone trying to keep you alive. A heavy thud suddenly echoed from the far end of the crawl space, the direction they were headed. Marianne choked out, Someone's down here. Lucas squeezed Evelyn's hand. We have to move. Now. But the message said, Evelyn began. I know what it said, Lucas whispered, voice cracking. But we don't know which warning is real. And if we stay here... From behind them, boots thundered closer. Metal scraped. Flashlights flickered through the cracks. They were being hunted from both sides. Lucas, Evelyn whispered, shaking, what do we do? Lucas hesitated, just for a heartbeat. Then he turned to her in the dark. Evelyn, do you trust me? She swallowed hard, and nodded. Yes. Lucas exhaled shakily, relief and terror interwoven. Then stay right behind me, he whispered, and whatever you hear, don't look back. Marianne's whisper came sharp and urgent. They're almost on us. A hand, a real human hand, shot out from the darkness ahead, reaching toward them. Evelyn screamed. Lucas pushed her behind him, shielding her with his body. Marianne hissed, "Who is that?" A voice whispered from the shadows. "Evelyn Hart? Lucas Bray? Hurry!" Lucas stiffened. Evelyn's heart stopped. Because she recognized the voice. They both did. The voice belonged to someone who should never have known who they were, or that they were together, or that they were hiding in this crawlspace. A voice they both trusted. A voice they had written to. It was the building's mail clerk. The one who had discovered the letterbox months ago. The one who had encouraged it. The one who had watched them both, without ever being noticed. He whispered again, urgent. "Come with me if you want answers." Evelyn's entire world tilted. The men outside were seconds from breaking in. The crawlspace ahead held someone claiming to protect them. And the unseen hacker behind the messages was still sending warnings. Lucas whispered, "Evelyn, what do we do?" Evelyn stared into the darkness, one hand gripping Lucas's, the other gripping her phone as another message appeared. "Do not trust the man in front of you." Her blood ran cold. Trapped between danger on both sides, Evelyn realized she had to choose. Evelyn's fingers tightened around Lucas's hand, her other hand still clutching the phone. Every nerve in her body screamed that the danger outside was real, and that the warning from the message might be real too. "Evelyn," Lucas whispered, voice low but urgent, "we don't have time to hesitate. We have to move now." Marianne's voice trembled from just ahead. "He could be telling the truth, or he could be lying. We don't know which way is safe." Evelyn's heart raced. In the faint light from Lucas's phone, she saw the silhouette of the mail clerk ahead, crouched in the crawlspace, beckoning them forward. "Follow me," he hissed, quickly. The pounding of boots behind them was louder now, echoing through the narrow metal duct like approaching doom. Lucas shook his head slightly. "I don't like this. I don't trust him." Evelyn's heart leapt. "But he knows the crawlspace. He could get us out of here." Lucas's jaw tightened. "Or lead us straight into a trap." Evelyn had no time to think, decision forced upon her by fear. She took a deep breath, looked at Lucas, and whispered, "I trust you, but we have to survive. Let's follow him." Carefully. They inched forward, squeezing through the tight metal tunnel. The mail clerk moved ahead like a shadow, silent and impossibly fast. Behind them, the sounds of boots, shouts, and the splintering apartment door reminded them that the world outside the crawlspace was collapsing. Then came a sudden screech, a metal grate above them shifting violently. Evelyn froze. Lucas's eyes widened. "Someone's above us," he whispered, voice tense. "We're not alone." Marianne hissed, panic rising. That voice wasn't human. "That's a guard or worse." Another thud, then a whisper, cold and mocking. "You think you can hide from me?" Evelyn's blood ran cold. Lucas stepped in front of her. "Stay behind me." The crawlspace widened slightly, opening into what appeared to be a maintenance shaft. The mail clerk signaled them to move faster, but Evelyn noticed something odd. The metal walls around the opening had small holes, like someone could see through them. Her stomach twisted. "Lucas, he's watching us. The whole time." He nodded grimly. "I know. And if we follow him, we don't know whether he's protecting us or setting us up." Marianne gritted her teeth. "We don't have a choice. If we stay here, they'll find us anyway." The mail clerk suddenly paused, turning back toward them. "Hurry! There's an exit ahead." Evelyn wanted to scream, to run, to turn back, but Lucas's hand on hers grounded her. Together, they moved forward. And then the crawlspace opened into a dimly lit service corridor beneath the building. Evelyn blinked in the strange yellow light. But before she could take a full step, a shadow detached itself from the far end. A tall figure, black coat drenched from the rain, face hidden in the dim light. The mail clerk froze. Lucas stiffened. Evelyn's heart thundered. The figure stepped forward. And in a voice that made every nerve in Evelyn's body snap straight, it said, "Lucas Bray. Evelyn Hart. I've been waiting for you." Evelyn's stomach dropped. She recognized that voice, eerily familiar. Lucas whispered under his breath, voice shaking, "It can't be." The figure stepped into the light. And Evelyn realized. The person who had been manipulating everything, the letters, the warnings, even the blackout, was someone she never expected. Someone who knew them both. Someone close. Someone dangerous. And suddenly, the truth hit her like a thunderclap. They had all been part of a plan she hadn't even realized she was inside. Evelyn swallowed hard. Who are you? The figure smiled, just enough to send a chill down her spine. You can call me the author. And with that, the shadow stepped forward, closing the distance. Evelyn, Lucas, and Marianne backed against the wall, trapped, the air thick with fear. The chase, the letters, the secret messages, it all came down to this. And Evelyn realized the real story had only just begun. The figure, tall and impossibly calm, stepped fully into the dim light. Evelyn's eyes adjusted, and her blood ran cold. She knew the face. Her stomach lurched. It was her boss, David Calloway. The man she'd worked under for months on the 12th floor, the one who always seemed slightly aloof but encouraging, the one whose office she passed every day without ever thinking twice. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Surprised to see me here? Evelyn's voice caught. You knew? About the letters? David nodded slowly, hands clasped behind his back. Of course, I've been watching, guiding, making sure things unfolded the way they were supposed to. Lucas stepped protectively in front of her. Guiding? What are you talking about? David's smile widened, cold and precise. The letters, the blackout, the warnings, everything was part of a plan. A plan to see if you two were capable of trusting each other when secrets were everywhere. You've both done well. Evelyn felt her knees weaken. Capable? You endangered us. Endangered? David tilted his head, mock innocence in his tone. No, I kept you alive. Tested you. Only the truly careful survive the world my father operates in. Marianne, standing behind Evelyn, narrowed her eyes. Wait, your father? So this has nothing to do with Lucas's father? David's gaze flicked to Lucas. Lucas Bray, your father underestimated me. The letters were my way of balancing the scales. You see, Mr. Bray's empire has secrets. But so do I. And now, thanks to you too, I know exactly how far I can trust them and you. Evelyn's hands shook, and she clutched Lucas's arm. You've been behind everything? The messages? The blackout? The warnings? David nodded, calm as if admitting the sky is blue. Everything. Every word. Every choice. I needed to see whether love, real, human, reckless love, could survive when someone is manipulating the pieces. You've both passed the first test, but the second begins now. Lucas's voice was low, trembling with barely contained anger. What do you mean, second test? David took a slow step forward. Now you must choose. Follow me, and learn the truth about your world. Or stay in the shadows, and hope the people who've been hunting me, and you, don't catch up. Evelyn's mind raced. Behind them, the crawlspace entrance was blocked, the heavy boots still pounding somewhere above. There was no turning back. She looked at Lucas. He looked at her. Their hands found each other's in the darkness, a lifeline. So we stick together, Lucas whispered. Evelyn nodded. No matter what. David extended a hand. Then follow me. Evelyn glanced at Marianne. Her sister swallowed hard, anxiety battling trust. I'm coming too, she said. David's smile widened. Brave. Very brave. As they stepped forward into the dim corridor, Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine. The walls of the building suddenly felt like they were closing in, shadows pressing closer, secrets hiding in every corner. And just as they moved toward David, a loud metallic crash reverberated through the tunnels behind them. Someone, or something, was following. Lucas tightened his grip on Evelyn's hand. It's not over, he whispered. Evelyn's heart pounded as she realized. This was only the beginning. The letters had been the first chapter. What waited ahead could change everything. Their lives, their love, their very trust in each other. And then, through the dim corridor, a voice rang out, cold, unyielding, and filled with a dangerous amusement. You shouldn't have come here. Evelyn froze. The footsteps behind them were closer. The shadow of a figure loomed at the far end. And in that moment, Evelyn knew, with terrifying clarity, the real enemy had been inside the building all along. Evelyn's pulse slammed against her ribs as the corridor stretched ahead, dim and endless. Lucas's hands squeezed hers, steadying her, but the tension in his jaw betrayed his fear. Marianne's eyes darted to every shadow, every flickering light. The voice had come again, closer this time, echoing off the metal walls. "You shouldn't have come here." Evelyn swallowed hard. Who are you?" No answer. Only the sound of boots, slow, deliberate, and growing louder. David, walking ahead of them, didn't look back. His calmness was unnerving. "Stay close," he said. "Don't panic. And whatever you do, don't speak unless I tell you to." Lucas shot him a sharp glance. "You're calm now, but I don't trust you." David tilted his head, expression unreadable. "But you shouldn't. Trust is the last thing you should feel here." They continued down the corridor, the dim yellow lights flickering above. The air smelled of damp metal and dust. Then, without warning, the corridor opened into a wide, abandoned maintenance hall. Pipes ran overhead, dangling wires sparking occasionally, shadows dancing along the walls. And there, at the far end, stood a figure cloaked in black. Evelyn froze. Her heart caught in her throat. The figure was tall, menacing, and unmistakably real. Lucas stepped in front of her. "Who are you?" he demanded, voice steady despite the tension. The figure's lips curved into a slow, cold smile. "I've been waiting a long time for this moment." David's hand dropped slightly, as if acknowledging the presence. "So predictable," he muttered. "You always follow the same patterns." The figure laughed softly, a sound that sent shivers down Evelyn's spine. "Patterns? You think you can control me with letters, threats, warnings? You're children playing a game you barely understand." Evelyn's stomach churned. "What do you want from us?" The figure took a slow step forward. "What I want is to see who survives. To see what love is capable of when everything you trust is a lie." Marianne whispered sharply, "This is insane. We should leave now." Lucas shook his head. "We can't. If we run, they'll chase us down. We have to face it." The figure moved again, closer, until the dim light revealed their face. Evelyn's blood ran cold. It was someone she had trusted. Someone who had been part of her life without her realizing how dangerous they were. A gasp escaped her lips. David's voice dropped, almost a whisper, "I warned you." The figure's smile widened. "And now, the real game begins." Evelyn felt Lucas's hand tighten around hers. "We stay together," he said firmly. "No matter what happens." She nodded, though fear clawed at her chest. The figure raised a hand slowly. "Then let's see who is really worthy of surviving the story." And just as the shadow stepped closer, the lights flickered violently, plunging the hall into darkness. When the lights returned, the figure was gone. Evelyn's heart hammered. Where did they go?" David's calm voice cut through the tension. "They're everywhere. And they've been waiting for this moment, for you." Lucas whispered, teeth clenched, "We're not ready for this." Evelyn glanced at her sister, her partner, her mysterious guide. "Ready or not, we have to move." From the darkness, a metallic scraping echoed, a sound that promised danger, secrets, and truths far darker than any letter they had ever shared. Evelyn realized, with a shiver that ran down her spine, that the crawlspace, the letters, the warnings, were only the beginning. The real story, the story that could change everything, was just beginning. And in the shadows of Harrington Tower, someone was watching, smiling, and planning their next move. The metallic scraping echoed again, closer this time. Evelyn's heart pounded so loudly she was sure the shadowy figure would hear it. Lucas kept a hand firmly on her shoulder, guiding her forward, every step measured, careful. Marianne stayed close behind, muttering curses under her breath. David, surprisingly calm, led them deeper into the maintenance hall, toward a series of steel doors. "Through here," he said, finally opening the first one. The hinges groaned, revealing a narrow staircase descending into near-complete darkness. Evelyn hesitated. Where does this lead? David didn't answer. Instead, he gestured for them to follow. The exit, he said cryptically. Or at least, a way to survive tonight. Lucas frowned. You've been behind all of this, and now you're helping us? Why? David's eyes glinted. Because even in a game, some pieces are too valuable to lose. You, both of you, are too important to let die in the first round. Evelyn swallowed, unsure if relief or suspicion won out. They descended the staircase, each step sending dust and echoes into the empty shaft. At the bottom, the corridor branched into two paths. Evelyn's phone buzzed again, and she froze, expecting another warning. But the screen was blank. Only a faint vibration remained, a subtle reminder that danger was always near. From somewhere deep in the shadows came a whisper. "You're too late." Evelyn jumped. "Who's there?" No answer. Only the faint sound of shifting metal and breathing too controlled to belong to anyone human. Lucas glanced at David. "Do you know them?" David's jaw tightened. "Yes. And they've been watching all of you long before the letters began." Evelyn's pulse quickened. "Watching us? Why?" David shook his head slowly. "To see if you were capable of trust. And to see if you could survive when the people you love, or think you love, are not who they appear to be." Marianne muttered, "This is insane. Letters, blackouts, secret messages, now a secret stalker." "Not a stalker," David corrected quietly. "An observer. And one who has grown impatient." From the far end of the corridor, a faint light flickered. Evelyn's stomach turned. She couldn't tell if it was an exit or a trap. Lucas whispered to her, tense, "We stick together. No matter what." Evelyn nodded, gripping his hand tightly. As they approached the light, the floor beneath them creaked. Then a sudden flash. A figure emerged. Cloaked. And impossibly fast. Evelyn froze. Lucas moved instinctively to shield her. The figure spoke in a calm, chilling voice. "Lucas Bray. Evelyn Hart. You've come far. But now it ends." David stepped forward, blocking their path. "Not if I have anything to say about it." The figure tilted its head, eyes glinting. David. Always the protector. Always the one trying to control the story." Evelyn's heart lurched. "David? Who is that?" David's jaw tightened. "Someone who knows everything about this building and about us." The figure took a step closer. Evelyn's stomach dropped. Then, in a move so sudden it made them all stumble, the figure lunged toward them. Lucas shouted, "Evelyn, hold on." Evelyn's heart pounded as chaos erupted. Dust and sparks flew. The corridor seemed to shrink around them, the shadows alive with danger. And just as Evelyn braced for the attack, the figure froze, stiffened, and in a voice low and deadly whispered, "You've reached the point of no return." Evelyn's chest tightened. Her mind raced. She realized, with terrifying clarity, tonight, nothing would ever be the same. The letters had been the beginning. But this was the part that would change everything. And in the dark, she felt it, the cold certainty that someone they had trusted most was not who they seemed. Evelyn's legs trembled as the shadowy figure loomed over them, impossibly tall, its presence radiating control and danger. Lucas tightened his grip on her hand, his knuckles white, his jaw set. Marianne stayed alert, eyes scanning the dark corridor for anything that might give them an advantage. The figure's voice cut through the tension, slow and deliberate. "I've been waiting a long time for this moment. All of you." Evelyn's breath hitched. Why us? What do you want?" The figure tilted its head slightly, almost mockingly. "I want to see the truth. I want to see if love, loyalty, and trust can survive when the rules are shattered and the people you depend on are not who you think they are." Lucas's voice dropped, steady despite the fear. "You're not going to scare us." The figure chuckled softly. "No, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to test you." Evelyn swallowed hard, her mind spinning. "Test us? How?" Before the figure could answer, David stepped forward, blocking the path between them and the figure. "This ends now," he said, voice firm. "We're not playing your games." The figure's smile widened. "Oh, David, you never learn. The game has been running long before you even appeared. And now," the shadow leaned forward slightly, eyes glinting, "you all are at the final chapter." Evelyn's pulse raced. She realized the crawlspace, the letters, the warnings. It had all been orchestrated. Every word, every shadow, every panic-filled night had been meant to bring them here. Lucas whispered fiercely into her ear, "Whatever happens, Evelyn, stay with me. Don't let go." She nodded, heart hammering. "I won't." The figure slowly raised a hand, pointing at them. "Choose wisely. One wrong step, and everything ends tonight." Marian stepped forward, her voice sharp and trembling. "We don't have time for riddles. Or you. What do you want from us?" The shadow laughed, a cold, controlled sound that made the hairs on Evelyn's neck stand on end. "I'm the one who has been pulling the strings, watching from the shadows, making sure only the strong, the clever, and the devoted survive. And now, you three have reached the point where I decide your fate." Evelyn's hands shook. Her eyes darted to Lucas, who gave her a determined nod. They had survived blackouts, traps, and threats. This was just the next challenge. Suddenly, a sharp metallic click echoed from the far end of the corridor. The figure stiffened, head turning slightly. Evelyn froze. Lucas's eyes narrowed. Marianne tensed. From the darkness behind them came a familiar voice, low and urgent. "Do not trust him." Evelyn's stomach dropped. The voice was unmistakable, someone she had trusted. The shadow figure laughed again, as if hearing her thoughts. "Oh, conflicting advice. How delightful." The lights flickered, casting strange shadows along the walls. Evelyn realized, with a shiver, that they were trapped between danger on both sides, the shadow in front, and whoever was sending the warning from behind. Lucas whispered, teeth clenched, "We need to move. Now." Evelyn glanced at Marianne. "We go together. No splitting up." Marianne swallowed hard. "Agreed." The figure advanced a step, and Evelyn's pulse hit a frantic pace. "This way," David whispered, motioning to a narrow side passage partially hidden in shadows. As they darted toward it, the shadow figure raised its hand again, and in a voice that made the air feel heavy, said, "You cannot escape what you do not understand. The truth is closer than you think, and far more dangerous than you imagine." They ran. The corridor twisted and turned, echoes of boots and laughter chasing them. Evelyn's heart felt like it would burst. And then they reached a junction, a fork in the path. David stopped abruptly. "This is it," he said. "Left or right? Choose wisely." Lucas's hand found Evelyn's. "Left or right?" he whispered. Evelyn's eyes flicked between the paths. One seemed darker, the other faintly lit. Her mind screamed, her instincts screamed, and yet a cold certainty settled in her chest. "This way," she said, pointing down the darker path. "We follow this." David hesitated. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "I have to be." As they stepped into the darkness, a whisper followed them from behind, low, almost amused. "You've made your choice, but so have I." The corridor swallowed them. The lights flickered one last time. And Evelyn realized, with a shiver she couldn't shake, that whatever awaited them at the end would change everything. The darkness of the corridor pressed in around them, every step echoing like a drumbeat of dread. Lucas's hands squeezed Evelyn's, grounding her as they advanced. Marianne stayed close behind, alert, her eyes darting from shadow to shadow, searching for any sign of movement. David led the way, his figure a pillar of unnerving calm in the oppressive darkness. "Stay quiet," he whispered. "No sudden moves." Evelyn's heart hammered in her chest. Every instinct screamed that they were walking straight into danger. And yet, something about David's confidence made her feel there was still a chance. A faint light appeared ahead, a soft, flickering glow that painted the walls with ominous shadows. The corridor widened slightly, revealing a heavy metal door at the end, rusted old but solid. "Here," David said, stopping. "This door leads to the lower service tunnels. It's the only way out, and the only chance to escape the others." Evelyn frowned. "The others? Who else is here?" David didn't answer immediately. He looked back at them, eyes shadowed in the flickering light. The people who've been following. The ones who want to stop you. They're closer than you think. Before anyone could respond, a loud metallic clang echoed from behind, the shadow figure. Its presence was unmistakable, commanding, terrifying. Evelyn's stomach twisted. They're right behind us. Lucas gritted his teeth. We go through the door. Fast. David pushed it open, revealing a steep set of concrete stairs descending into darkness. A cold draft wafted upward, carrying the smell of damp earth and rusted metal. As they began to descend, a whisper echoed from somewhere above, chillingly close. You cannot hide. You cannot run. You belong to this story now. Evelyn froze, her breath catching. It knows our names, Marianne muttered. It's been watching us the whole time. Every letter, every message, it's all been a setup. Lucas's jaw clenched. We survived together. That's all that matters right now. They reached the bottom of the stairs and entered a narrow tunnel. It branched off in several directions, the walls damp and slick. David paused, listening. They've split up. One is following us, the others, he shook his head. I can't tell. Evelyn's phone buzzed again. Another message, this one different, almost desperate. Do not trust David. He is part of the plan. Go left. Evelyn's breath caught. She looked at David. What does this mean? David's eyes narrowed, and for the first time, Evelyn saw a flicker of something unreadable, a shadow of doubt, or maybe irritation. Ignore it, he said firmly. Trust me. Left is wrong. Right is the way. Lucas glanced between Evelyn and David. We're running out of time. We follow David. Evelyn hesitated. Her mind screamed. On one hand, David had led them this far, kept them alive. On the other hand, the messages were insistent, warning her not to trust him. Left, she whispered finally, voice trembling. We go left. David's eyes widened, a subtle flash of anger crossing his face. You'll regret that, he said almost to himself. They turned down the left tunnel. Almost immediately, the air grew colder, heavier. The darkness seemed to thicken, wrapping around them. Their footsteps echoed ominously. Then came a low, metallic scraping behind them, slow, deliberate, closing in. Marianne whispered sharply, They're right behind us. Faster! Evelyn's heart pounded as they ran, twisting through the narrow tunnel. The walls seemed to close in, shadows dancing like specters. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber, dimly lit by a single flickering overhead light. Pipes ran across the ceiling, dripping water onto the concrete floor. The echo of their footsteps bounced off the walls. And there, in the center of the chamber, stood the shadow figure. Evelyn froze. Lucas stepped in front of her. Marianne clutched her side, ready to fight. The figure tilted its head slowly, smiling under the flickering light. You've made it. But congratulations are premature. Evelyn's pulse slammed against her ribs. Why are you doing this? The figure's voice was calm, almost hypnotic. Because only when you are tested in darkness, only then do you understand what love, trust, and loyalty truly mean. And now, the figure took a step forward, and the light flickered again, casting deep shadows over its face. You must make a choice. One wrong step, and nothing remains. Evelyn glanced at Lucas. His hand was firm around hers. Marianne's eyes were wide, terrified. The figure raised its arm, and the shadows in the chamber seemed to move, curling along the walls like living things. And then, in a voice that made Evelyn's blood run cold, the figure whispered, Choose wisely, or lose everything. Evelyn felt the weight of every letter, every secret, every warning pressed down on her. The choice she made now could change everything. And she realized, with a cold certainty, the real story, the story behind the letters, the blackouts, the warnings, had only just begun. Evelyn's legs shook as the shadow figure's presence seemed to fill the chamber, cold and suffocating. The flickering light painted its features in jagged shadows, revealing a face she almost recognized, but couldn't place. Lucas whispered, his voice tight with tension, Stay close. Whatever happens, don't let go of each other. Marianne, trembling, muttered, "This is insane. We should have never come down here." The shadow figure took a deliberate step forward. "I've been waiting for this moment a long time. Every letter, every message, every blackout, all of it was meant to bring you here. To see if you were capable of surviving when the rules are broken, and everyone you trust is not who they seem." Evelyn's throat tightened. What do you want from us?" The figure's smile was slow and chilling. "I want the truth. I want to see who you really are. And I want to know if the love you've built is strong enough to withstand everything." Lucas's hand found Evelyn's again, tight, unwavering. "We're together. Nothing you say will break that." The figure laughed softly. "How convenient. So naive." Evelyn's chest tightened. "Naive? You're the one who orchestrated this. You threatened us, followed us, manipulated everything, yet you call us naive." The shadow figure tilted its head. "I am not the villain. I am the test. I am the one who will reveal whether you survive or fall." From behind, a faint metallic scraping echoed, someone approaching through the tunnels. Evelyn froze. Lucas's eyes narrowed. "They're coming. Whoever's been sending the messages, they're here too." Marianne gasped. "So we're trapped between two dangers?" The figure nodded slowly. "Yes. And only your choice will decide your fate." Evelyn swallowed hard. Her mind raced through every letter, every warning, every message she had received over the past months. The anonymous words that had sparked love, fear, and hope, and now this terrifying reality. Her phone buzzed again. A message lit up the screen. "Do not trust him. Left leads to survival." Evelyn glanced at David, who had been silent until now. He was standing to the side, watching, expression unreadable. Lucas whispered, voice low, "We have to decide. Right or left?" Evelyn's heart pounded. Every instinct screamed danger. Every memory of the letters, the connection she felt with Lucas, screamed trust him. She looked at the shadow figure. Its smile remained patient, knowing. She looked at David. Controlled. She looked at Lucas. Fear and trust tangled together in his gaze. Evelyn made her choice. "Left," she whispered. Marianne hesitated, then followed. Lucas stayed beside her. The shadow figure's smile widened, almost approving. "Very well. Left it is." They ran down the tunnel, the metallic scraping behind them growing louder. The air grew colder. Water dripped from the pipes above. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a massive underground chamber filled with crates and equipment. Evelyn's eyes adjusted, and she saw something that made her blood run cold. The crates were labeled with her name. "And Lucas's." Evelyn's voice caught. What is all this?" A new sound echoed through the chamber, slow, deliberate clapping. From the shadows emerged another figure. One she recognized instantly. The first person who had delivered one of her letters. Their face was hidden under a hood, but their voice was unmistakable. "Welcome, Evelyn Hart. Lucas Bray. You've passed the first trials. But now, the real test begins." Evelyn's heart raced. The letters, the warnings, the blackouts, they had all been just the beginning. Lucas whispered, "We're in deeper than we ever imagined." Evelyn nodded, gripping his hand. "And whatever happens next, we face it together." But as the hooded figure stepped closer, another voice, cold, commanding, and impossibly close, cut through the chamber. "Stop them." Evelyn froze. Lucas tensed. Marianne gasped. From the shadows, more figures began to emerge, moving with precision. The walls seemed alive with danger. Evelyn realized with a shiver, the letters had led them here, and now, the real danger had finally arrived. And the first move they made could decide everything. The underground chamber felt impossibly vast and impossibly dark. The flickering light from overhead barely illuminated the crates labeled with their names. Evelyn's stomach twisted, and her hands shook as she gripped Lucas's. Marianne stayed tight beside her, muttering curses under her breath. The hooded figure stepped closer, slow and deliberate, its presence commanding. Evelyn's heart hammered against her ribs. "Welcome, the figure said again, voice calm, almost taunting. You've made it here, but this is where the real test begins. Evelyn's voice trembled. Test? Test. Who are you? The figure paused, tilting their head slightly. I am the one who watches. I am the one who guides. I am the one who ensures that the right people survive. And now, it is time to see whether your love, your trust, can survive the darkness. Lucas stepped in front of Evelyn. Enough with the riddles. We've survived every trap you set. What do you want? The figure smiled beneath the hood, and Evelyn felt a cold chill run down her spine. I want you to choose. Evelyn frowned. Choose what? The figure raised one hand, and suddenly a row of buttons illuminated on the crates. Each crate bore a symbol, some familiar, some cryptic. You have 3 minutes, the figure said. 3 minutes to decide which crate to open. Only one contains the answers you seek. Others will lock you in forever. Marianne's eyes widened. Locked in forever? Are you insane? This is... Shoo! Lucas hissed, eyes fixed on the crates. We don't have a choice. We have to do this. Evelyn took a shaky breath, scanning the symbols. One crate bore a heart scratched in faint red paint. Another had a symbol of an eye. The last, the letter O. Her fingers trembled as she reached toward the crate marked with the heart. Before she could touch it, the hooded figure's voice cut through the silence. Think carefully. One wrong choice, and everything you love will be taken from you. Lucas gritted his teeth. Evelyn, are you sure? She nodded, resolute. We have to trust each other. Together. She opened the crate. Inside were stacks of letters. Some unopened, some worn and faded. The top envelope bore her name in familiar handwriting, Lucas's handwriting. Evelyn's hands shook as she picked it up. She tore it open. The letter read, Evelyn, if you are reading this, you've survived the first part. I cannot be with you yet, but know that every letter, every warning, every moment we shared secretly was to protect you. There are people who would harm you to reach me. The shadows you felt are real. Trust no one fully, not even those who guide you now. But trust me and I will find a way to be with you. Evelyn looked up, heart racing. Lucas, he wrote this? Lucas's eyes were wide, his lips parted. I didn't know that crate even existed. I thought, someone must have left it here to guide us. Marianne whispered sharply. This is insane. Who else is in on this? The hooded figure remained silent, watching. Then, slowly it spoke again. Time's up. Choose your path, or be trapped forever. Evelyn's heart pounded. She looked at Lucas and Marianne. We go together. No splitting up. They stepped back from the crates, toward the tunnel the figure had come from. But before they could move, a hidden door at the far side of the chamber slammed open. Figures emerged. Armed, faceless, moving with precision. The sound of metal boots on concrete filled the chamber. Evelyn's breath caught. Lucas stepped in front of her, eyes blazing. We fight, or we run. There's no other choice. The hooded figure whispered from the shadows, choose wisely, or everything you love will end here. Evelyn realized, with a sinking certainty, that no letters, no warnings, no messages could have prepared them for what was about to happen. The armed figures advanced. And Evelyn knew, with chilling clarity, their fight and their love had only just begun. The chamber vibrated with tension. The armed figures advanced slowly, footsteps echoing against the concrete walls, their faces obscured by masks. Evelyn's heart pounded so hard she feared Lucas could feel it through their joined hands. Stay close, Lucas whispered, his voice firm, grounding her. Whatever happens, we stick together. Marianne muttered, I can't believe this. Armed men, letters, secret messages, it's insane. Evelyn swallowed hard. I know, but we're not giving up. Not now. The hooded figure stepped forward, hands raised, not in attack, but in instruction. You have a choice, it said, voice calm and eerie. You can fight, or you can follow me. But know this, each path comes with consequences. Some of you may not survive. Lucas's jaw tightened. We survive together. That's the only choice. The first armed figure lunged toward them. Lucas reacted instinctively, pulling Evelyn behind him as a punch collided with the concrete floor where they had stood seconds before. Marianne yelped and ducked to the side, narrowly avoiding another attacker. Evelyn's heart raced. "Lucas, what do we do?" Lucas's eyes scanned the chamber, calculating. "There." He pointed to a maintenance ladder leading up to a catwalk above the armed men. "We can use the catwalk to get above them, then find the exit David mentioned." Evelyn nodded, fear giving way to determination. "Let's go." They sprinted toward the ladder. Lucas lifted Evelyn onto the first rung, then climbed after her. Marianne followed, barely making it onto the catwalk as one of the figures tried to grab her boot. From above, they could see the chaos below. The armed figures moved as one, organized, but unaware of the three above them. The hooded figure's voice echoed from the shadows below. "Do not trust what you see. The real danger is closer than you think." Evelyn's stomach twisted. "Closer than we think?" Lucas's hand gripped hers. "It doesn't matter. We move. Now." They crept along the catwalk, the metal creaking under their weight, every step sounding like a shout in the cavernous chamber. Sparks from exposed wires flickered along the ceiling. Suddenly, a voice whispered from the shadows above the catwalk. "Evelyn." "Lucas, you shouldn't have come this far." Evelyn froze. Her blood ran cold. That voice, it was familiar, haunting, impossible to forget. "Who is it?" Lucas whispered urgently. Before she could answer, a trapdoor in the catwalk exploded open. A shadow lunged from above, knocking Lucas off balance. Evelyn grabbed his arm, nearly losing her footing herself. Marianne screamed, reaching for them. "Hold on." Lucas steadied himself, pulling Evelyn and Marianne back onto solid metal. The shadow above froze, and in the flickering light, Evelyn finally saw the face. It was the mail clerk, the one who had encouraged the letters all along. Evelyn gasped. The clerk's eyes were cold, calculating. "You've done well to make it this far. But the story isn't over. Not by a long shot." Lucas stepped in front of Evelyn. "What do you want from us?" The clerk smiled faintly. "I want to see if your love can survive the final test, and if you can survive me." From the chamber below, the sound of boots and shouts grew louder. The armed men were regrouping. Evelyn realized with a sinking certainty they were trapped between two forces, one above, one below. Lucas whispered, "We have no choice. We fight our way through, or we find another way out." Evelyn swallowed, nodding. Her heart was pounding, adrenaline mixing with fear. "Together." Lucas squeezed her hand. "Together." The mail clerk moved closer, shadows stretching unnaturally along the walls. And Evelyn understood with chilling clarity. The letters, the messages, the warnings, they had all led to this moment. The real danger and the truth were finally here. And nothing would ever be the same. Finale, they fell in love through anonymous letters. The chamber was alive with tension. Shadows flickered against the walls as the mail clerk, the orchestrator of the letters, circled them on the catwalk. Below, the armed men were regrouping, searching for any sign of them. Evelyn's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Lucas tightened his grip on her hand. "We're not just running," he whispered. "We end this tonight. Together." Evelyn nodded, courage blooming despite the fear. "Together." The mail clerk stopped directly in front of them, their hooded face partially illuminated. "You've survived everything. The letters, the blackouts, the warnings. But now you must prove that what you feel is real. Only then will you survive." Marianne's voice shook. "Prove it? How?" The clerk smiled faintly. "By choosing to risk everything for one another." Evelyn glanced at Lucas. "We've done that every step of the way." The mail clerk's eyes narrowed. "Words are easy. Actions are not." With a swift motion, the clerk pressed a button on a panel nearby. A section of the catwalk began to tilt, swinging them toward the armed men below. The chamber erupted in chaos. "Hold on!" Lucas shouted, wrapping his arm around Evelyn. He grabbed a hanging chain and swung them across the gap. Marianne followed, using her agility to land on a stack of crates. Below, the armed men raised their weapons, but David, calm and calculated, appeared from the shadows, knocking one of them unconscious. "We move now," he shouted. Evelyn's eyes darted to the male clerk, who remained on the catwalk, smirking. "It ends tonight," the clerk hissed. Lucas pulled Evelyn toward a ladder leading to a narrow exit tunnel. The armed men were close, but David blocked them with precise, strategic movements. "Go. I'll hold them off." "No," Evelyn said firmly. "We go together. All of us." Marianne hesitated but nodded. Together, they ascended the ladder into the tunnel. The sound of shouts, scrambling footsteps, and the male clerk's cold laughter echoed behind them. The tunnel opened to a narrow stairwell leading out. They kissed, rain pouring over them, the city skyline stretching beyond the broken roof, the chaos of the building left behind. For the first time, Evelyn felt truly safe, because they had each other. But as they held each other, Evelyn's phone buzzed again. She froze, dread flickering. Lucas glanced at her. Another message? Evelyn opened it. A single line appeared on the screen, chilling in its simplicity. "The story isn't over, and the letters will return." Evelyn's lips parted in shock. Lucas frowned. Marianne's grip tightened on her arm. Evelyn smiled faintly, a mixture of fear and determination. "Then we'll be ready." And together, they walked into the night, scarred, tested, and unbreakably bound. Months had passed since that night in the underground tunnels. The city hummed with its usual rhythm, oblivious to the chaos that had unfolded beneath its streets. Evelyn and Lucas had moved into a small apartment near the edge of the city, a quiet refuge away from towering buildings, secret crawl spaces, and hidden threats. Life had begun to feel normal, or as close to normal as it could after surviving months of manipulation and danger. Evelyn returned to work, still keeping her phone close, while Lucas buried himself in his projects, protective and watchful. Marianne had moved in with them temporarily, helping to unpack boxes, cook meals, and remind them to sleep. One rainy evening, Evelyn sat at the kitchen table, sipping tea, her laptop open. The letters they had recovered, the ones that had started it all, were locked away in a small, hidden box. She thought about how far they'd come, about the darkness they had survived together. Lucas entered quietly, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You're thinking too much," he said softly. Evelyn smiled faintly. "I can't help it. After everything, it's hard not to wonder if it's truly over." He squeezed her shoulder. "Whatever comes, we face it together. No one can touch us now." Evelyn leaned into him, comforted. For the first time, she felt that truth in her bones. A week later, as sunlight filtered through the apartment blinds, Evelyn's phone buzzed. She frowned. It had been weeks since she'd received anything unusual. The screen lit up with a single message. No number, no name, just a blinking notification. "It begins again." Evelyn's breath caught. She turned slowly to Lucas, who had been pouring coffee. His brow furrowed as he noticed the phone in her hand. She held it up. "It's a message." Lucas's lips pressed into a thin line. "From Thingham?" Evelyn shook her head, voice trembling but firm. "I don't know. But it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, we're together." Lucas stepped closer, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Together." Evelyn set her jaw. "Then let them come." And in the quiet of their sunlit apartment, the faintest whisper seemed to echo through the room, not from the phone, not from outside, but almost from the letters themselves. The game was not over. But this time, Evelyn and Lucas would face it as one.